Hello, welcome back. Today is part 3 of reviewing community clips to help you and the community improve on Apex Legends. Honestly, even me, it's a good reminder on tips to remember the foundation. While it can be difficult to coach everyone, the goal is that you're going to see similar mistakes and that we can all improve together. We were covering the names before, but for seeing your health bars and also information in the feed, it's pretty important that we see that information to improve. If somebody wants their clip removed, please let me know and I'll cut it from the video. Seeing the comments and response, we've built such a positive community for all of us to improve. I don't think that there's going to be any negativity. Remember, we all make mistakes and it's okay. Our goal is to help you, even in the comment section, to improve. If I see anything negative, I haven't seen anything negative before, but I'll make sure that we always keep things positive in the comment section, especially for this specific series. If you want to submit a clip, the information is in the description of the video down below. Know that clip footage is not always perfect. That is not the goal. The goal is that we improve together, so let us begin. Okay, now we have clip number 1. What's very interesting and why I wanted to select this clip is because this individual's aim is actually really solid, so I'm going to pause here. They already got the jump. There's something interesting that I see a lot of players, especially with very good aim of what they do. So let's backtrack 5 seconds. So let's rewind this. Boom. Now, while we're here, it's best to always hug the angle, which they are currently. And you're going to notice that the mistake that they make immediately after this, and sorry for the footage, this footage max quality was 720p, but trust me, we're going to get the point across. Now, as soon as they crack, they don't have the information on where the other opponent is. They do have their scan, but they haven't used their scan to locate where they're at yet. So what they do is they run up here on the far left, right out in the open. They see that somebody's shooting. Now, essentially, this is just pretty much going for the ego push. What you can do is hold this box here, but what you'll notice that this individual did is that they got blasted from these two. Now, what's interesting, and this is where you have to realize the skill versus luck. So we're obviously pausing here. Now, what we're going to do is roll it. Clean shot. Now there's another clean shot because they start to use their angles now. That once they're, it's interesting that I see this happen with a lot of players, which is why I have to pause again. Players tend to play more safe whenever they're lower HP. So if you look at the Bloodhound's HP, I mean that's only a few more bullets until the Bloodhound it gets eliminated. But what individuals start to do is they don't play the positioning, and I'm gonna continue playing it until you see how they're using the side angle and keeping their hitbox small. What they should do is right from the get-go, whenever they go into the encounter, is play the angle. If you can land those longbow shots, you essentially always need to hold this angle, right? I know that you want a wide swing to get the angle, so if you're going to do that and you have the nade and you see the pressure up above, you got to go right into the box. So what's interesting is there's a few seconds here. A few seconds, so let's rewind. We're going to go slow motion here, rewind. There's only a few frames, so I apologize for the lag there. That you're still here. So we look at the timer here. We got 1, 2, but you still never chose to hold the box. There's 2 seconds you could move towards the box to minimize fire, because you would not have gotten this clip if you just got eliminated. There was only a few more shots that they needed to grab, and you also lucked out in terms of their armor. You could have ran up into this fight, because information is key. You know you got the crack, but you don't know what the situation is in the other opponents, because we saw from the beginning of the clip. You don't have the information. You never utilize your scan and resources to your advantage. You essentially got shot from multiple angles. Realize when I say play the box, you probably wouldn't even got shot from this individual at all. That's when we do 1v1s during coaching is so important, because you also could have made your hitbox smaller and got this fry, and then got this knock, and then went into the fight here, and then finished it up essentially. That's nitpicking, but I realize that this clip says don't sleep in the longbow. I say, don't sleep on your positioning. Yes, you can clutch out like this, but I promise you at a higher tier lobby, you're going to ask yourself what went wrong and why it happened, and then we're going to pause and say, right here. Right here. Any good player around Diamond Master or even Max Rank is going to look at this situation and say, you should have went down. And if you clutched out and you got the clip, realize why you got the clip and say, hey, yes, I clutched out with aim, but I need to make sure I minimize it, because you could have gotten third-partied immediately after this. There's still 19 squads remaining. Still quite a few squads remaining, and this is still just the very start, and you need to minimize that damage because you're still down an opponent. Let's go to the next clip. Now we're getting a lot of clips from console players. Now what's very interesting, so right off the rip, I can tell this individual's got really solid aim and knows when to hold an angle. So I know the question is, what could you have done here in this fight better? And we're going to highlight that. So you got a good crack. Now your teammate closed the door. What's interesting is you got the crack, but you didn't go hold the angle and keep the pressure on the left. So I'm pausing here because I want to highlight that. what you do is you start shooting over on the right, regardless of how much damage you did on the left. You know, pausing here, that you had the advantage, but you decide to take a whole different fight instead of putting pressure on the left. Let's say there was 2 on the left, there's 2 of you to push the left side. If there's 1 on the right, well, you could also wide swing here. So you do a little bit of damage here, but what you do, what's interesting, is you let up on the pressure. When I say let up on the pressure, pausing here, this is the moment the opponent now has their back turned, and you saw the nade, and you saw them leave, and you decided not to put pressure. What you decided to do here is you went in the box and started looting. You didn't necessarily need these resources. You still had a fully capable Volt, and you could have went around the corner and still shot. Yes, you got an extra mag here, and you know how to hold angles, but you give up your pressure a lot. That's the problem that happened here, and also keep an eye on where your opponents or your teammates are going, as well as the opponents. So you have a nice reset. Essentially what we did is every time we reset and the opponents are just backing up and healing. So you've allowed them to heal up and reset. Now if we wait for just a few more seconds, both your teammates go to the left. You take a few shots, because we do realize the moment here is that rampart walls are in the way. And we realistically shouldn't really peek it, but instead of keeping up the pressure, waiting for them to back away from the wall, you continue looting. So you gave up the pressure, and your teammate actually during that time frame, you'll notice, actually went to go push. So if we back up 5 seconds, this is only 5 seconds, you saw the vantage on the far left decided to push. Now it could be helpful by calming and saying, hey, I'm going in on this, but holding that angle, you could have, in this moment, because you do it 3 seconds later, right afterwards, is you go in and you try to fight. This would have been your moment to jump over the wall. Now, if you decided to push in, you could have jumped over the wall whenever they pushed, because at that moment, you're committing on a push. Now, either that's because they got a crack, that's when to make the push. Now, the interesting thing is that you default a lot on resources. We all do. I made this mistake early on. Everyone makes this mistake. It's okay, which is why I'm highlighting it in this VOD so we can all learn together. Is that people tend to float and think that they need more resources to win the fight when you have the resources right in front of you. You have a Volt, you have your R301 with some ammo in it, but it's enough to win a fight. So you gave up your pressure, and then you started floating around when your Volt already has well over enough ammo to win the fight, and you could have already gotten the jump on them as they came around the corner. That is why you lost this fight, unfortunately. You gave up a lot of pressure consistently. From the very beginning, when we take a look, you won the fight here, technically. You guys technically won, and you just had to push on the initial fight. Once this person comes around the corner here, you put pressure. You go, 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 go. Go on the left, keep up the pressure. Even if you don't wide swing, hold the pressure and say, oh my gosh, you're pushing me, cover me, cover me, cover me. How can you isolate them and make them feel that pressure? Your advantage is behind, which is perfectly fine, but you have the health advantage right now. And even on the pressure on the right, remember, pressure, pressure, pressure is so important. Don't let up here. You've already won the fight. There is no reason to let up on that encounter. Switch to your Volt and get ready to continue to fight. If they peek again, you have the better opportunity to win the fight than they do. So I can't stress it enough. Please don't float around looking for loot when you don't need it, because right now you don't need the loot. Even though it feels like you're kind of starved for resources, I joke around. I say if your Peacekeeper has 5 shots in it, you can win a fight. If you're going to miss all 5 Peacekeeper shots against somebody, the other person probably doesn't deserve to win the fight either. So let's go on to the next clip. This was a really, really good one. Thank you for submitting this one. I think this one is very, very important. This is a mistake a lot of us make that we do not realize. Let's segue to the next one. All right. What I find interesting is that we're getting, I think all of these are console clips, which is fine because it's all about your positioning. And I find a lot of console players make just as much mistakes as PC players. It doesn't really matter your platform. Positioning is always probably one of the biggest things. Now, it looks like you're solo queuing, and the biggest tip I can provide is you have to isolate individuals in 1v1 fights, which is what you're looking for right now. And essentially, if you can't do it, and they're going to circle you out, you have to keep rotating, I would just go to zone. Zone is closing. Zone hurts a lot in the current meta. Just go to zone and don't fight this anymore. You've already given away your position. You want to get the jump on the opponent or hear a massive dogfight going on, and then just push in on that encounter instead. Now, what's funny is that we actually reviewed another clip last episode in this building. It seems to be a very popular building. You do find your isolated fight, so I'm going to highlight what you could have done differently here. We've already established that you could have rotated to zone sooner, but you decided to stay, which is a viable solution. Now, we're going to do, you won this fight. This is perfect. You have your cells highlighted, so I'm going to make the assumption that you did not have batteries. I would highly recommend, for anybody solo queuing and just in general for a fight that you need batteries. If you have cells, you're unfortunately, if you get cracked, it's going to take you a lot longer to recoup and regenerate. Now your option is here to stay by the stairs. Now the Pathfinder is going to yell at you and say, hey, he's located here on the stairs by himself. Go behind a door to heal, pop at least 1 or 2 cells. But going upstairs or going to a location where you don't have the information isn't going to be a good idea. The other option is to go forward towards a Pathfinder and finish them. But it's safe to say that the Wraith would probably be right behind the Pathfinder, considering I believe this looks to be, if I'm not mistaken, over somewhere on the screen, duos. It looks to be duos. Now, if we continue, what happens next is you run into the Wraith. Now, it's okay that you whiff your shots as this Wraith completely surprised you. But at the same time, you did know that an opponent was going to be coming. This is why doors are so helpful, and why when you see individual solo queue or even in fights, you need to be able to bridge a gap. So in this scenario, you just needed to back out. You waste a few seconds here, and seconds are really everything to really master your gameplay. If everybody is watching this video, you have to realize that every second matters. If you turn your back, smoke your back, and run, and then go behind cover and start to heal, you could have prolonged your life here. But I highly recommend batteries, and you have cells selected. So again, I'm making the assumption, and maybe you can comment down below and let me know, just because I don't have the full context and clip here. So you hold here, but then Wraith shows up from behind. I'm not surprised that she showed up from behind, but those seconds that you stood there for the individual time is really what got you. So if we backtrack here, remember the biggest takeaway. I think that your positioning was fine because you won this fight against the Pathfinder. You definitely won, and you got up on the encounter. So you go right back, and then the Pathfinder comes up. Remember your options of what you had here. Option 1, go finish them. Option 2, go to the door to the left to find cover. Option 3, completely back out from the encounter and wait for them to res. That's your best option, to wait. Once you hear the res, after you bat or get a heal, then you can push back in. If you don't have a battery, you can only pop a few cells, and you have to win your fight. Now, once, let's say you made the mistake of fighting, you need to get out. You're not, luckily they didn't knock you here. In this scenario, you smoke your bottom right underneath you, and you just run. The Wraith is going to chase you. What we were hoping for is once you turn is that they make a mistake. That's really all you can do in this scenario. I think that you did pretty well, and those seconds do make a big difference. I mean, you did get the jump on a few of them here, and if they queue, there's really not much you can do. It looked like it to be the same individual from before, which is why I said to rotate away from zone instead, because they know where you're at. They're going to go hunting. You know, once they realize that you're potentially solo, people can feel that out within a few seconds. I definitely do. I'm like, this person's playing like they're solo, because I don't see the other teammate, and I don't see them wanting to put a lot of pressure. They're looking for an opening to isolate. Then that's what the individuals immediately start to, you know, I guess you can say, jump on one another or essentially hold hands. Now, I hope this series and episode was really informative. I think these clips are fantastic. Be sure to comment down below what you think you would have done better, what was helpful. Hopefully this VOD review is helpful for all of you, and I appreciate all of you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next episode.